This week in basketball with your main man Easy Leezy in the place to be. Now, last week, I answered the question nobody asked. Inspired by the All Jalen team, what other obscure all-star team could I come up with characterized by a random trait? Now, if you didn't see the first team, go back and watch that and then come back here. Now, I'm sure this idea has been explored before, but maybe not some of the teams I've come up with. And this week, I have another team for you. And this one's pretty fun. So, let's drive and kick it. You know, as we are in the midst of February, I figured, in honor of Black History Month, I give you the All Wahite team. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what is a Wahite? Well, I can't take credit for the term, but if it isn't obvious, it's a sophisticated inside joke term me and my family use for Caucasians. Anyway, now with this team, I only have one rule this time: non-Euro or international players. All players are fully or majority American, born and raised. And once again, it's only a 7-player roster based only off of 2K ratings and maybe ESPN fantasy rankings, and some basic stats if necessary. Also, injuries have no effect on eligibility. Now, in saying that, the first player I'm going to say, big time young big for the Thunder, Chet Holmgren. With a huge ceiling, he's the highest rated 2K player on this team. Great defender, good rebounder, and offensively he can score inside and out. He's the true centerpiece of this team, and not a bad start already. And with his big man counterpart for this team, his teammate Isaiah Hartenstein, you are going to have a tough time grabbing rebounds and making shots near the rim. But both players have missed time this year, so the question for them is, can they stay healthy? Only time will tell. Up next, sharpshooting playboy for the Heat, Tyler Hero. With an 87 2K rating and averaging 24 points a game, you could argue he is this team's best player, being the only all-star on this team and having the most playoff experience. I'd imagine he'd have the responsibility of being the leader of this team. But when you talk about experience, the ultimate experience is winning a championship, and these two guys are the only ones that have done so. Alex Caruso and Peyton Pritchard both bring something different to the table. Of course, with Caruso, you're going to get tenacious defense, and with Pritchard, you're going to get great shooting. While both are guards, I think the value they bring can cover up some of the team's misgivings. Next up, one half of the Beverly Hillbillies, shooting guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, Austin Reeves. In his short career, he's shown that he can score the ball, has a decent jump shot, and has good decision-making skills. That's what you want from a role player. Okay, this brings us to the last position on the team. There are plenty of players that I could have chose, but a lot of them just didn't seem right. When it came down to it, I had to choose this person. Grady Dick, one of the greatest names in the history of sports. I mean, why not? But as an asterisk to this roster, because both Hartenstein and Holmgren were hurt this season, I figured I'd have just an extra player on this team. And I'll admit, the pool of players was a bit limited. You had Kevin Huerter, Pat Connaughton, Luke Kennard, Mac McClung, Duncan Robinson. But I think in this situation, you have to replace bigs for bigs, especially because this team is so small. So I went with Utah center Walker Kessler. Now on paper, this is a super solid team. You have size, shooting, defense, rebounding. They may lack athleticism and forwards, but with a good coach, they can compete with anyone. That's why, for their coach, there's only one coach that comes to mind here who's super obvious, and that's Bill Murray from Space Jam. Overall, this was a nice squad to put together. But you know what, though? One of the craziest things about putting this particular team together is how much the impact of the American white player has seemingly diminished over the eras. Now, we all know the league is predominantly black, but it seems the balance of talent has long shifted. Now, while I put together obscure rosters based on random characterizations for funsies, generally, if we divided the league into basic subgroups like black, white, Euro, and mixed race, American white players would have the lowest significance among this list, which is kind of crazy to think about. The highest rated American white player on 2K is Chet Holmgren at 88, which is impressive for a guy in his second year. Now, I haven't crunched official numbers, but the talent disparity is fairly obvious. Look at All-Star. The last All-Star game with predominantly white All-Stars had to be sometime in the 1960s. And with this year, the only player is Tyler Hero. I'm sure Holmgren would have had a shot, but still. The last and most prominent All-Star was Kevin Love, having played in 5 from 2011 to 2018. Other than that, the list is pretty scarce. Gordon Hayward in 2017, David Lee in 2010 and 2013, Chris Kaman in 2010, Brad Miller in 03 and 04, and Stockton in 2000. I mean, going back to the 90s, up until the Dream Team, the only players of relevance besides Stockton were Dan Marley, Chris Mullin, and Mark Price. And since the Dream Team, there's only been one player to be on the men's Olympic team up until this point, Kevin Love in 2012. Now, I'm not saying all this to say black players are superior or white players are inferior, but y'all need to step y'all game up. At the end of the day, this is a decent squad compared to the other teams. Even without forwards, that defense is still going to be tough to contend with, and the offense lacks a lot of pizzazz. So I'd rate them third. But that'll do it. If you like this video, you know what to do. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Tune in next time for my next team. I'm Easy Leezy with This Week in Basketball. See ya.